close your eyes, relax, rest in the presence and hold space.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Omega Dantaya Vidmahi Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Dayanitti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayanitti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayanitti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayanitti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo
Namaste.
Welcome.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang being a Sanskrit word that means community of truth. Wherever two or more people on the path of seeking the truth come together, we have a satsang. It's a really important part of the spiritual path of awakening and the flowering of the heart. The journey is unique for each one of us, but with many parallels. And it's been constructed in a way by the divine that we need each other. We need to stay connected and bring our pieces together. Even though each of us is complete within, it only all comes together when we all come together and we strengthen each other exponentially. So thank you for being here tonight. Throughout the webcast, we share the Flowering Heart Blessing, which is a direct transmission of divine enlightened awareness, light, love, the grace that causes the heart to flower in oneness with the divine source within. The Flowering Heart Blessing focuses very much on awakening that connection to the divine source within, because in fact, that is your true sacred self. And that's the one you've been looking for. However many masters you meet, saints you meet, avatars, presence you experience, the outer world is a reflection, a mirror reflecting the inner world. And when we go deep enough inside, we discover that what we saw reflected in the face of a saint or a master, an avatar, a great spiritual teacher, was the light of our own true self being reflected to us. The Flowering Heart Blessing cuts through a lot of red tape because it goes right to the center and causes that to begin to flower and blossom and shine out from the center of your being through spirit, soul, and body, enlightening your spiritual layers, clearing and healing and restructuring your soul, which is where the thoughts and the emotions and the charges and the horrible programming of wrong thinking all exists. And so the grace from within radiates out through these layers of our being, from spirit through the soul realm, clearing the mind and replacing this deranged thinking and programming with the inspiration of the divine. And out through our physical bodies, healing our bodies and transforming them in unity with spirit, flowing out, shining out into our relationships, healing them and setting them right, and then out through our whole life situation into the world, and we become shining lights, which is what the world needs. Right now, we've been stuck for thousands of years in a civilization rooted in competition, conflict, and violence. And it needs to give way to a new world that's rooted in cooperation, harmony, and peace, which only happens when the heart begins to flower with divine compassion and light. Philosophy won't do it. Spiritual movements won't do it. Religious movements won't do it. Nothing on the outside that's in the realm of the mind can bring about that liberation of the soul and of your inner being to awaken to the truth, which is there's only one of us here, and that's you. See, the universe is the manifestation of one single supreme consciousness, one supreme love. And that one being, that one consciousness is manifesting itself through all the myriad forms and beings of the universe. When we awaken, the scales fall from our eyes. We look into each other's eyes, and you see yourself looking back at you through my eyes. Fear goes away immediately. Competition is gone, because how do I beat myself? And I don't need to be afraid of you, and you don't need to be afraid of me, because we're one and the same being, and our true nature is love. So this process happens one person at a time, but we are convinced, as are many spiritual teachers at this time, and for a long time have understood this, that when enough of the collective consciousness awakens, that the entire collective will begin to tip from fear and jealousy and hatred and lust and greed and the civilization of competition, conflict, and war. It'll begin to shift quite naturally in all of us collectively into a whole new world of cooperation, harmony, and peace. So awakening is the answer. The awakening that's required to redeem the earth right now is a collective awakening, but again, it's one person at a time. So thank you for consenting to the journey of awakening. Please join us in sharing the Flowering Heart Blessing. When the Divine gave this to us, you're basking in it right now. You can feel the presence, feel the energy if you just open yourself and tune in. The Divine said, this is my gift of grace, which means it's not earned, it's not deserved, you don't work for it. It's a pure gift of love. So because it's a gift of grace, the Divine said, give it away, don't charge for it. And let people know it's coming from source. It's not coming through a particular master or hierarchy or organization. It's coming directly from the Divine. And therefore, it's easy to support you, this blessing, on whatever path you're on, whatever your belief system is or your spiritual background, it will support your journey. It's truly interfaith and transfaith. And if you want to be an instrument of this blessing, just invite the Divine to pour it through you, and you can start right now. As the Divine said, tell people as soon as they receive this blessing, and you're receiving it right now, you're initiated to be able to share it. If you want to know more about that, go to our website, floweringheart.org. There's a 36-minute video that explains more about the blessing and the power of the Flowering Heart Blessing, and it's very tangible in that video of 36 minutes. There's a very brief guided meditation that leads you through the process of initiation. That's not necessary, but it's great if you want to start a blessing group. All you need is one other person, a laptop or desktop, and go to our website and hit play on that video. You can download it too and send it to people, but 36 minutes after you sit with a friend or friends and watching that video, everyone is ready to give hands-on blessings, and you have an immediate meditation group and blessing circle. So we encourage that. We invite you to do that.
Communion? Yesterday?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Michael did a phenomenal job yesterday with the communion. I know I say that every month, but this one was wow. I think I'm going to go back and rewatch it a couple of times because there were so many teachings on divine prosperity and the principles behind it and the scriptures behind it. And it's not about making money or abundance in, the financial realm. It is about that too, but it's about so many other layers of our lives and how we can tune in deeper to the divine presence and prosper on all levels, in relationships, in friendships, in finances and material things, but and it's about giving and sharing, and it's just amazing, really, really amazing.
It's the first teaching of that nature that I've shared with the Flowering Heart community. I taught it over the years as a pastor, because the Christian communities I served knew next to nothing about divine prosperity. But just in a word, a divine word, 3 John verse 2, Beloved, I wish above all things that you might prosper materially and be in health, even as your soul is prospering. So what's that saying is I desire above all things, on the same level as me desiring the divine, saying your soul to prosper, your soul to grow, your soul to be transformed, just as much I desire for you to be materially prosperous and physically in health. And I think a lot of people don't understand how willing the divine is to grant the grace of physical healing and also material abundance, including silver and gold and wealth. So, in that teaching, we don't shy away from it. The key is spiritual, of course. It's connection to the divine and learning how to open ourselves to receive that outpouring. Yeah, I'll listen to it again. Anyway, it's the recording of it is, if you're on Facebook Live on my Facebook page, it's there. It'll be there permanently. You can also find it at Vimeo, where we park all of our videos, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a long teaching.
It is.
It's about an hour and a half long at least, but just be ready and just open up and let it infuse you with a kind of faith for abundance and richness in life that maybe you haven't been fully enjoying. And if you have been fully enjoying it, you'll especially like that teaching. So, also, we like to invite you, if you would, to give us a love or a like. If you're on Facebook, little heart or a thumbs up, because we can go in at the end of the satsang and we can see who dropped in. So, unless you make a comment like Katerina just did, so we know you're here, you can still give us a like or a love, though. But if you're on Vimeo, you have to enter a comment in the chat. You could just give your name and say, "Hey, I'm here." And we do follow all of that. And that includes if you're watching this on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday of this week before next week's satsang. I go in throughout the week to see who, because many people drop in and watch and participate in the satsangs in the days from Monday to Monday because of their time schedule or where they're living. And what we've learned over the years is that in spirit there is no distance or separation in time or space. So someone who watches this, or if you're watching this now on Wednesday, the same energy, the same divine grace is tangibly manifest to you, and we'd like to see a like or a love. It would be great. I think that's about it. Okay then. So we open it at this point to questions and answers on the spiritual journey. Any questions you have about any aspect that you've been puzzling over, about enlightenment, about God realization, about meditation, about the afterlife, about reincarnation, about the nature of reality. Anything you can frame as a question, we'll take it on. And it does move the divine to give us inspiration and clarity to share with you. So that would help you if you draw that question out, but it will help everyone, because even though our journeys are unique, they parallel one another, and we all experience similar challenges and questions along the way. So we'll give you a few minutes to do that. Just look into your heart and ask, is there something that I could ask that would give me more clarity and understanding, that would contribute to the satsang? And when you do, those are, I think, the best nights. But you're welcome to just hang out and soak in the grace and drink it in, because it is flowing to you nonstop. So please join us, everyone, in inviting the divine presence to pour the flowering heart blessing through you to all the participants. This blessing catalyzes awakening and the flowering of the heart in oneness with the divine. There's nothing not to love about it. But it does also release the mind from charges and torments. It heals the physical body. It heals relationships. And that's so important for all of us. So I'm waiting for all these great questions.
Me too.
Check real quick. Okay. I'm going to share 15 quotes. I've been sharing quotes almost each week that I receive off a website called inspiringquotes.com of all things.
That's
But-
easy to remember.
But I'm on their email, on their newsletter list, and I get an email from them every day, and I really enjoy it because there are these moving, inspiring quotes from some really great people, and it's a source of inspiration. So let me start with this. Interesting. I had it opened here, and my computer said, let's close it. Okay. So these quotes I'm sharing today are about empathy, which is a very important thing. And it's extrapolated from an article on inspiringquotes.com, from an article written by Joyce Chen. She's a writer and editor and community builder based in Seattle, Washington. And here's some of what she has to say about empathy. Empathy is a human quality that makes us better partners, relatives, colleagues, and friends. Defined loosely as the ability to understand and share in someone else's feelings. Empathy is one way we can connect with others, particularly those who have different identities or circumstances than us. Empathy can be cultivated and exercised in a number of ways. Perhaps most simply by holding space, listening, and extending grace toward others. I mean, that's what we do. That's the work of the Flowering Heart community. We hold space and we listen and we extend and transmit grace to others. She continues, tuning in to people's emotions helps us understand them more clearly, which strengthens and deepens our relationships. Not only that, but empathy helps us get to know ourselves better as well. By putting ourselves in someone else's shoes and feeling what they feel, we are given the opportunity to view life from a different angle and to expand our capacity to hold other people's struggles alongside our own. Now, before we dive into these 15 quotes, I felt the need to interject just a little insight here, and that is, what is the difference between empathy, sympathy, and compassion? I mean, those are all really important words. Sympathy is important. Empathy is epic. Compassion is one of the qualities of the divine and of awakened consciousness. So what's the difference? Okay, let's start with sympathy. Sympathy means to imagine being in someone else's shoes and understanding someone else's suffering. It means to feel with them, or to recognize in ourselves the same feeling if we were in their position. So it's an understanding of what that other person might be feeling based on our own experience. Empathy means experiencing someone else's feelings, not just having an understanding, not just having some insight into how they might be feeling. Empathy is directly feeling the other person's feelings, which is deeper. Empathy comes from the Greek word empathia, which is a conjunction of two words. Em means into, and pathos means feeling. So empathia means in feeling into. It requires an emotional component that sympathy may not have. Sympathy, we can actually feel sorry for someone, you know? But with empathy, it's an emotional component of really feeling what the other person is feeling. feeling into their feeling realm and sharing it directly. Okay, so sympathy is understanding, but empathy is direct feeling.
Like an empath.
Of connection. Empath is someone that has tremendous empathy. I think we're all empaths, but we haven't all realized it yet. Compassion, though, is the ability to empathize with someone's suffering with a passionate desire to help them. It goes farther than just understanding why they would be suffering. It goes beyond just feeling their suffering to having a passionate motivation and desire to help them be set free from that. Okay, let's read some of these quotes. The great gift of human beings is that we have the power of empathy. We can all sense a mysterious connection to each other. Meryl Streep. Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant? Henry David Thoreau. It was just such an experience that changed my life forever, 50 plus years ago. An exchange of empathy provides an entry point for a lot of people to see what healing feels like. Tarana Burke, activist. Empathy begins with understanding life from another person's perspective. Nobody has an objective experience of reality. It's all through our own individual prisms. Sterling K. Brown, actor. Empathy comes from the Greek empathia, em, into, and pathos, feeling, a penetration, a kind of travel. It suggests you enter another person's pain as you'd enter another country. Wow. I like that, a penetration.
Who's that by?
Oh, that was Leslie Jameson, novelist. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had. F. Scott Fitzgerald. I think we all have empathy. We may not have enough courage to display it. Maya Angelou. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question. What fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I'm about to criticize? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, and there was another quote from him that we read a few weeks back, that when you find yourself criticizing another one or feeling judgment toward a person, look inside to find what you're judging. It's in there.
Isn't that funny? Because we think of those as like new teachings, but that's so ancient.
And from Marcus Aurelius.
Right.
You know? This capacity for empathy leads to a genuine encounter. We have to progress toward this culture of encounter in which heart speaks to heart. Pope Francis. Only the development of compassion and understanding for others can bring us the tranquility and happiness we seek. The Dalai Lama. No one reaches out to you for compassion or empathy so you can teach them how to behave better. They reach out to us because they believe in our capacity to know our darkness well enough to sit in the dark with them. Wow. Brene Brown. All I ever wanted was to reach out and touch another human being, not just with my hands, but with my heart. Tahara Mafi, author. Judge tenderly if you must. There is usually a side you've not heard, a story you know nothing about, and a battle waged that you do not have to fight. Tracy Leah LaRussa, writer and illustrator. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. Walt Whitman. Learning to stand in somebody else's shoes, to see through their eyes, that's how peace begins. And it's up to you to make that happen. Empathy is a quality of character that can change the world. Barack Obama. I thought those were pretty great.
They are pretty great. Wonderful reminder.
Indeed. So, empathy is a natural quality of awakened consciousness. The only reason we wouldn't feel empathy is because we feel separate from the other person. Then we might be able to pity them or sympathize with them, be kind to them, but we would feel distance. In the process of awakening, the separate self dissolves and we awaken to our true self, which is the self of all of us. And quite naturally, more and more and more, we feel what the other is feeling. And in the beginning, you wonder, wow, is this really happening? But as time goes on, you become more and more certain. And I had a great teacher. I've had a lot of great teachers, but my first teacher was a very highly awakened Taoist master, a monk trained on a mountaintop in China in a Taoist monastery, and an authentic, amazing master. And in the first 6 months or so of my relationship with him, he wouldn't talk to me at all. It was just, well, he didn't even look at me in the beginning, but you just had to kind of feel your way into his presence, and he'd teach you, just follow my movements and breathe. He taught us how to breathe and move and drop the mind from the head to the heart to the gut, and to bring everything to that feeling of connectedness. And eventually he did talk to me, but all through the years, when I got an insight through empathy, through intuition, he'd look at me and he'd nod his head and smile, which increasingly gave me confidence, for one thing, that he knew what I was feeling, but also that my feelings, my empathy, my intuition outside of the mind of reality was accurate. And he was really good at that. Feeling that moment where an insight dropped into me and going like that. He didn't have to say a word. So there's so many ways to develop empathy, but mainly it's awakening and it's love. Authentic love. Because also as we awaken, we quite spontaneously and quite naturally feel unconditional love for others. When it really gets our attention is when there's a person maybe who's a real jerk, and you can't like them. And maybe they've been a real pain to you, but somehow you find that you have unconditional love for this person regardless of their rough edges. Unconditional means no conditions, no strings attached. That's the way that the divine presence loves us. And as we experience that unconditional love, it heals us of our own self-judgment and self-loathing. And the first outward sign, according to one of the closest disciples of the Christ, St. John the Beloved, is that we begin to love our brothers and our sisters unconditionally. It's just a gift of grace. And John also said, if you say you're in the light, if you say you're awakened, if you say you're living in the light, and yet you still have hatred, judgment toward your brother, toward your sister, you're self-deceived. You're still in the darkness, not in the light. Because the first sign for John the Beloved was you start to love. Everyone who loves, John said, knows God. And God lives in them, and they're born of God, and the presence of God is manifesting in them. This looks like you got more to add.
No.
Okay.
I'm just enjoying.
I'm just expanding on the quotes because I'm not seeing any questions, which is a good thing in a way, for sure. Sometimes when we're just immersed in the presence, the questioning of the mind just dissolves in gratitude and just openness and rest in the presence. And that's a good thing.
Mm.
So we can live with that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No.
No? Well then, you know what comes next. We dive in deeper. So, go ahead and close your eyes and invoke the presence. It's not far from you. In fact, there's no distance at all between you.
Actually, happy Memorial Day here in the United States, because, that's part of empathy and compassion and gratitude.
The only reason I didn't do it is we have people from all over the world.
I know, but I said here in the
I
United
know.
States. But
I mean,
anywhere in the
Memorial Day
world.
Celebrates, for anyone that doesn't know, fallen soldiers who gave their lives in the defense of their home, their family, their country. And Memorial Day is the day when in the United States of America, their great gift, their sacrifice is honored and with gratitude and reverence and respect. And a lot of barbecues and days off work.
But any country could have empathy and compassion with.
And most countries have a day like
I know that, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to honor that that's this day today.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, back to closing your eyes. And know that the presence that we are invoking dwells within you at the center of your being. It's not far from you, and there's no distance at all. There's no separation between you and the light of the divine source. Because this is your true self, your true center, your essential nature. All the idea that we try to bridge the gap, cross the bridge from where we are to God, is just bad teaching. Except in a metaphorical sense, perhaps, because in the mind has the illusion of separateness from others and from the divine itself. And awakening dissolves that misperception. But for now, let us acknowledge in the divine we live and move and have our being. It's not just a drop of the divine in you either. It is the entire divine source, and the entire universe is within you. And this presence loves you so deeply, it yearns to embrace you in unconditional love and take you into the center, where all the illusions of separation disappear, and you experience awakening into oneness with Source. And your heart begins to explode with unconditional love and compassion for all beings. This divine presence is all-powerful, all-knowing. It knows what you need before you even ask. flowery heart blessing that flows within you, to you, and through you. There's nothing to think about, nothing you need to do, just receive, soak it up, allow the divine to set you free, to make you whole. Circle with our eyes closed. Lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward, and invite the presence to pour the flowery heart blessing through you as an instrument of grace to all the others sitting in the circle, as it's flowing back to you through them. The presence does so much more as it flows through you to others. Allow that to be. Your job is just to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and your being, with at least one of our eyes continuously. As the light meditation begins, Suzanne and I are filled with divine presence, light, and love. It flows to you through every pore of our being, especially through our eyes, which in this case are called doorways of the soul. The light streams out place nearby to lie down in Shavasana. That's to lie on your back with your eyes closed and your arms loosely, comfortably at your sides, your palms open, turned upward, and just let yourself dissolve in gratitude and presence. We love you very much.
Much love and light and blessings.
Until we cross paths the next time, know that the divine in us beholds the divine in you, and we bow to you.
Namaste.